Hello and welcome back to Storytime Classics live here on Facebook and YouTube. It is produced by Southwest Shakespeare Company. I am your host, Beau Heckman, and today I have a very special interview today. I have the cast of the complete works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, and you will be able to catch their streaming show very, very soon, this weekend or something like that. When are we streaming this? When are we streaming? Tomorrow we're streaming.
Sunday.
Tomorrow we're streaming this. Everybody's excited. So I'd love to introduce the cast here and just kind of go through one by one. So we have Gustavo Flores. Gustavo, wave for me here. Introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Gustavo Flores. I work with the Southwest Shakespeare Company. It's a good time. I love the people. Interesting fact about me is that I'm wearing a nice Henley shirt today.
Stylin'. Next, we have Raquel McKenzie. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Raquel McKenzie. Let's see. Small island years ago. It's true. I'm Jamaican. Woo, woo. And yes, with Shakespeare.
We might have to have you repeat that answer again. The connection was a little unstable there.
Oh, no. Yeah. I've been called unstable before. McKenzie. And fun fact about me, I was actually born in Jamaica. So I'm an island. And I act with Southwest Shakespeare as well. And I love it.
Excellent. We're glad to have you. And Ben Harris. Ben Harris, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Ben. Thanks for having me on here, Beau. And yes, I as well have worked with Southwest Shakespeare for 3.5 years, I think, a few different productions. And I'm here in Mesa, Arizona, and went to school at Southern Utah University as well as Northern Arizona University, but graduated from SUU with a classical, with a degree in classical theater performance.
Excellent. And SUU is also known for, Southern Utah University is also known for
the Utah Shakespeare Festival, which
exactly. Hey,
I worked a little bit with their Utah Shakespeare playmakers and volunteered quite often, kind of around working amidst some of their performers. Never yet on stage yet, but what can you do?
You're still young. Keep auditioning. It will happen. The dream is still alive. We just got to get past this thing called COVID, and then we can all get back on stage, hopefully. So Ben, what have been your previous roles with Southwest Shakespeare Company?
Yeah. So when I first got here in 2016, I was looking for a chance to kind of start setting down some roots. I want to train as a director, but I knew that I had been on the road with Missoula Children's Theater for 3.5 years, and I wanted to kind of reestablish some of my on the boards, on the stage skills, and show people that I could work. And so I was looking around where were opportunities. Well, I had missed a lot of general auditions. A lot of seasons were kind of already full and set up. But first thing I did was co-directing the tour of Midsummer Night's Dream, Midwinter's Night's Dream, I think is what that one was. And I got to cover a couple of rehearsals with them, and I actually played a swing for a couple of their performances that fall. And then this following spring, I played in, I was about to say Area 51, but that's
wouldn't that have been interesting?
Photograph 52. And I played the young doctoral student, and it was a very narrative ensemble-based show where I really got to know some veterans of the company and start working there. And then in the tour that next, I think was of 12th Night, I think was that fall. And then the spring, is that how it worked out? Assistant directed the rep of Taming of the Shrew and As You Like It, which you were in, Beau and Raquel.
Yeah,
had a great time with Raquel and Beau, and
Raquel actually played
That's
my daughter.
right.
We were-
Yes, we were.
Here's a memory that comes back. You were actually my daughter. And I was just like, wow. My wife had to have been gorgeous. I must have really but I played the bad guy, so I messed it up. So yeah, I looked at Raquel and just went, wow, what did I throw away?
And then I
Messed
don't.
it up.
I'm having a blank on what happened that fall. But then in the spring, was in Midsummer Night's Dream this last spring again with Raquel.
That's right. Gustavo, what are some of your roles that you've played with Southwest Shakespeare Company?
Yes, with Southwest Shakespeare, I did Mackers in the fall of 19, and I played Malcolm. That was the first show I ever did with them, and it was super cool. Then I went on to do the Green Show before the spring rep of Richard II and Midsummer Night's Dream, which had Ben and Raquel in it, and that was a whole lot of fun. We did. There was 2 different versions of the show. We would like switch out the middle section, whether it was before Midsummer or Richard II, so it would like match up the audience and be like, oh, you're going to see this show or that show, sort of thing. And
who did that Green Show with you?
It was Kelly Nicole, me, and Bethany Baca, and it was written and directed by Clay Sanderson, who also directed the complete works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, Socially Distanced.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Any other performances or roles with Southwest Shakespeare, or are you? It seems like we've been working with you forever, but really, it hasn't been that too long. We gotta do more,
right? I just kind of showed up suddenly, and here I am now. So far, that's all I've done, and now I'm working on this. I did a lot of the live stream shows that we did, the readings. I did Othello. I was an extra in that one. I was in 12th Night. I played Sebastian, which I love Sebastian so much because he just shows up and like, what's happening, which I connect to a lot. And then I did that's it with Southwest.
I forget that we've gone virtual and we've done these virtual things off of the stage. What were some of the ones that you did with us, Ben? Just coming back to you briefly.
Clay had the idea to kind of go off and start those, and then it really took off I was in Othello. Where would we go with that? Othello I didn't do 12th. I was in Henry V. We did a kind of an educational recording Southwest did of Midsummer. I mean, not Midsummer, Much Ado, which I didn't get to see.
Oh yeah, I was in that as well.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, there were several of them, but I'm like, how many virtual readings did we all do?
Right.
I know I lost track myself. Raquel, what are some of your stage experiences with Southwest Shakespeare Company?
Oh, well, I came in, I think it was 2015, with the Juliet tour. And then I had there's like a little break in there. And then a long break. So I was working with another theater that like kept me busy for a very long time. So I didn't get to work with a lot of other theaters, but now I do, which is great. And so I've also As You Like It with you and Taming of the Shrew. That was crazy. I'll say my favorite part about Taming of the Shrew was getting to play the show Seth, because I love chess. I was on the chess team growing up. And there were so many times.
You and Seth played chess up in the corner for a lot of that, and you guys got really serious.
We got so serious that I almost missed a cue every single time because I am so competitive.
I'm going to play this one.
Like,
no, I'm really serious. Can you guys drag out the scene? We're really in a thing here.
so serious that someone has to win, someone has to lose, and I'm not walking until someone does. And there was one time, if I'm being honest, a little late. It was a little late. Yes, mate. Crap. They are on the side of the stage now. Wow, how do I get off? Anyway. And then I also did Midsummer with Ben, and then the all women's production of Richard II was pretty amazing. And
Yeah, tell me more about that. Tell me more about the that Richard II production. I personally have seen it, and it blew me away. I mean, it was just an amazing cast. It was really just a stunning show. Tell me about your experience with that.
Everyone was so. I think everyone was perfect cast. I like that we didn't dress in like mustaches and things like that, because age you have to play the authentically without putting on a mask, if that makes any sense. And
yes,
it's all about the way you carried yourself, the way you stood, the way you spoke. It didn't always have to be deep, because not every man's voice is a baritone. Like, that's just not reality.
you can speak with your natural voice and embody all of those things. Yeah,
right. I really enjoyed it because I played Ferdinand with Flag Shakes. I believe that was right before summer, and that role was actually and I decided to play androgynous, and I was like, I'm going to use voice. And so you kind of different ways to manipulate your body, especially if you're playing two characters, because I played Mowbray and the Queen. So the Queen can't stand how Mo's who's going, you know, one person's very dignified and one is not of that stature. So you learn how to make small changes to make you doing believable. I love playing male roles, the masculine energy, because I'm a girly girl, but I'm not. Oh, and I'm very much. I play very much like competitive things like that, and I big energy that comes with it. And getting to do that was such a wonderful experience for me, that I got released on stage. So it was so cool, and seeing everyone do their part. I just at the stage and was like, wow, look at us, all us women playing these roles, being amazing. It was mind-blowing, and I wish people would do this more.
well, it was a thrilling production. I mean, it was just electric, and you really felt the stakes and everything in it. You could feel the tension. It felt like a political thriller of the highest level. Let's move on to complete works. Let's start with Gustavo. How many different roles do you play in complete works? Let me amend that. How many roles and how many different gender? Like, how many times do you flip genders? How many different genders? That's very fun.
So many times.
How many times do you go back and forth?
I
And that's a
made my
question
list.
for all of you. That'll be
I
a
brought
question
it up
for all
with me.
of you.
I play, like, I think up to 20 characters, just about 20 characters in 90 minutes, and I made a list of all my quick changes, which is like you've been going back and forth, and it's like, I think 25 or more. This is the...
I love that you have that.
Roll credits.
Mine just exploded.
And some of them, there are some that are like super relaxed. Like, I get to like run backstage after a bit, and then someone will come on and say like, this is the intro for the next bit, and I'll have like a second to like breathe, take my wig off, put it on the side, take a dress off, and switch into another skirt sort of thing. But there are some where I have to do a bit on stage, run off stage, take a dress off, put my fluffy shirt on, and then run back out, and then run back on and put the dress on again. And so some of them are like super stressful.
And you have some help back there. You have
Thank God we have Nate backstage. Yeah, and it was so great working with him because it was
all of your changes and had your props ready for you, or something like that. How does all of that work when you have just merely seconds to change?
Yeah, well, it all started on like the first day we showed up for physical rehearsals. We had just about everything. The majority of our props and costumes were ready from day one. So we got to like really map out like at this part I have to run back here and change out. Like okay, we can like kind of time it out if we don't have the exact costume, or we can like actually go through the quick change right now to measure it out. Then like throughout the week that we had for like our like tech and blocking, we got to like figure out what works best, what doesn't work, sort of thing. If he should like actually help me put the dress on or drop the dress on the ground into like a donut formation so I can step into it, so he can help someone else with something, and then like help me put my arms through and zip up the back, sort of thing. So it was a lot of math and figuring out what works best, and like, can I wear my shirt underneath this dress, or do I have to take it off? Can I wear my fluffy pants? And like, yeah, Nate was like awesome backstage because we were like had to like communicate a lot.
Absolutely. Ben, how many roles do you play, and how many times do you flip back and forth?
It's hard to follow Gus in this show. He was in his I think he was cast as his role gets the scroll. You know, it's his kind of roles. I play a narrator several times. I think I play the nurse and Desdemona. Spoilers. But
I don't think it will take away from the impact.
you know, and I think
at some point he's gonna.
that I change. And then narrator, the prince. I play the two puppets, Hamlet. You know, I'm probably somewhere in the 10 to 15, 10 to 12.
10 to 12 characters there?
Yeah, something like that.
And Raquel, you play some very interesting characters. Please tell us about the ones you play, because they it's really awesome. The way the show is usually done is three guys, but it's been changed up, and now we've thrown a female into the mix, and that changes sort of a little bit of the dynamics. Explain to me how that worked out, changing that up just a little bit.
Say, I love being thrown into male parts. I already said that, but I'm such a fan. Like, yeah, they know I can do this thing. So it makes it interesting. And then I was like, oh, I guess that's not funny. Like almost all the women in the show. So me was making all of these in like age and voice texture, and there were times where is this weird? I don't. That was this weird. Maybe I should play it. Never did. But I still had maybe I should just do this little thing. I enjoyed. It was probably my favorite character to play because this little toad, this little obnoxious, he's just a funny little guy. And then on the flip side, I get to play a huge, big, boisterous person who, in the script, the way I do it, takes from regal and gets a little bit more colloquial in his speech, and I like the going back and forth between the two because it makes it classic him versus all right, this is the abridged, socially distanced version played by a woman part, so it makes it stand out from all other productions, which and then of course we rewritten parts where we do mention Rhiannon. I think is always some it's modern. And hey, Deborah. I love to work with her. Yeah, it was definitely once I think I got into the groove of the characters. It made sure to distinguish secret. I was like, you know what, I don't think I need this because I'm walking with a limp. I'm walking with a hunch, or Gary's jacket. So I was like, whew, there goes that quick change. No longer a thing. So my quickest change is when I have, and that can be interesting if I'm sweating, which I often am, and it doesn't stick and it's falling off my face, or it gets caught on someone else's costume, and so now I don't have a mustache anymore because the bottom of someone's shoe. Because I preset everything. So I'm a little neurotic. So everything's like hung in a certain way, in a certain place, every night. Every mustache is like pasted and up. So a little wind comes by and it could be on the bottom of someone's shoe.
And seriously, I've got to pause and say there's a moment in the show where you come out actually as Romeo, and the mustache that you have chosen for that character is so grin-inducing. Is so you before you've said a word, you're already rolling with laughter at your physicality, at how you're playing it, and you really kind of sit back and you let the mustache do the work.
Oh yes.
You are doing a physicality, and you're just your Romeo is I gotta say like none other that I've ever seen, and I really really love it. It's just
Maybe I get to play Romeo one day.
What's that?
We'll see. Maybe I'll play Romeo one day. We'll see. Probably not. If
that would be great. I would love to see that. And exactly how you do it in the show. That would be great. All right. What is your favorite? What is your favorite moment in the show? Raquel. What is your favorite moment in Complete Works?
Ew, that's a question. I enjoy. You know what, Joy? Let me. Okay, there's a part in the show where everything again, and then it goes faster, and then reverse, and really,
Oh my God.
yes, his face right now. The bait is my. But the fact we together sell, and like something's going because it's so. But it's so hilarious that when I think about it, it just brings me joy. All of us working together to like stay in character.
As we're figuring out where to go.
Like you're just like, don't laugh. I don't think this is supposed to happen right now, but don't laugh. That is my favorite part. The going forwards and backwards and then be like, we're done. Good day. I hope you enjoyed that because we're dying inside.
Yes.
That's my favorite part. Yeah.
Gustavo, what is your favorite part?
I'm trying to think about it. There's a bit where I get to...
No, I'm just kidding. Hi, welcome to my show. I'm a jerk.
Oh no, we're giving him too much power.
What is your favorite part of the show, Gus?
Dang. There's a bit where I get to do Hamlet, and it was fun because it's like a stop and let's just hear the words of Shakespeare bit. So it's like not necessarily funny,
right.
But it's also like we got to stop and look at the guy that we're making fun of and appreciate him for a second. So that's like a nice little stop and look moment. There's a bunch of like. There's this bit where I play Iago, and I made a goal of the entire show for me to like make sure every single character is completely distinct in their own way, even if they're like not even near each other in like the timeline of the show. I want to make sure that they're like all different with like different voices and like looks and everything. And so when I play Iago, I was like trying to do some lickety split research. I like flipped through the show, looked at the notes at the bottom of the pages, looked up some of the previous performances on YouTube, and there was this one. What's his name? Let me look him up. Thank you, Internet. Oh yeah, there was this one version that was filmed of Othello where Bob Hoskins, who's done a lot of good roles. He was Shmi in Hook. He was the detective Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. He played Iago, and I really enjoyed his performance. And he kept this like gruff voice. Put money in thy purse. Put money in your purse, sort of thing. I thought, how funny would it be if I just kept Bob Hoskins but turned him up a little bit for this just to make it funny. So I get
I
asked.
think your inspiration was brilliant. Your voice for Iago the first time I heard it went, huh? That really works. That's good. That's actually news to me that you took it from Bob Hoskins. That's great. I love that.
Right. So yeah.
Ben, what is your favorite moment in the complete works of William Shakespeare?
Well, Raquel took mine, so no. No,
Interview
really,
over.
So there's the version or faster version of Hamlet is after doing the whole show, and we get to that part where it's like, how can we condense that into 30 seconds? And let's do the show in 14 lines. And for some reason that resonates with me and both my efficiency, but also the comedy and us doing it's pure callback to the version of Hamlet we just did. And so I like a lot of the elements and why that is done. I mean, that whole last section of the play is very well crafted, and just takes off after the buildup of that first part. All the other plays, the first 36. But there's and I, getting to play Hamlet, getting that chance to play the scene chewing, this scenery chewing Hamlet. There was one, when we play the histories in a football game, and that part is really fun. We get the sports energy, and we come out and we're trying to do it socially distanced, so we kind of like dance around each other as well. And
that provides an extra level of comedy.
Yeah, it does. It's like, okay, normally there would be I guess we're not going to do that. But the energy of it and the speed and getting in all these kings, and that part's a lot of fun too. I mean, they all are, but ones that stand out for me.
Good stuff.
Let's talk a little bit about your rehearsal period for this show. So we are actually sort of in your rehearsal space right now.
We had rehearsal?
you guys, you did rehearse online in Zoom for a couple of weeks, and then had about maybe two or 3 days, maybe just 2. I don't know. How was it when we all met? And
it was supposed to be 2 days of blocking, but it turned into 3, and then it became like maybe 2-3 days of tech to like iron it out.
And this is all COVID safe.
Yeah.
We're all wearing masks, and we've all been tested and all this kind of stuff. Just for the listening audience, we're not trying to take any more risks than are necessary. Nope. And how was that rehearsal period for you? And I'll ask each of you individually in that, because that's very bizarre. How do you form connections? How do you rehearse a show online? I'll turn that to Gus to answer first.
Yeah. So it was great that we like started off with like safety first sort of thing. I really appreciate that for the whole team. And it was super interesting because I had like, in a way, known everybody beforehand from something. I had worked with Clay before. I had seen Ben perform, and during the green show of Midsummer Night's Dream, I like kind of walked through the dressing room to drop my stuff off, so we kind of got to chat a little bit there. So we kind of got to know each other. But I had never worked with Raquel before. I had just seen her, and she was like, "Oh, it's Raquel McKenzie, and I'm gonna work with her," sort of thing. And yeah, it was super cool because we got to like didn't have to worry about like holding our scripts or walking around, but also like we didn't get to move around together. So it got us to be able to focus on the text a lot. I got to focus on like the voices I got to do and like all the characters I got to make and stuff. And it was like, on one hand, almost in a way, in a little virtual way, intimate, because we were just staring at our faces the whole time, and we got to like hear our voices, look at each other face to face the entire time. But unfortunately, we didn't have the way to like high five and like make physical joke sort of thing throughout the show. So there was that, and then we went to the physical rehearsals, and that was like super lickety split. We had to put it on its feet for the first time, and of course, like when you're in your on your own time, trying to like walk through what it's supposed to look like, which of course is never how it turns out, sort of thing. And so you can like sort of map it out in your head and be ready. But then like yeah, everything always changes when you get it on its feet, and like after like 2-3 weeks of like virtual rehearsals and suddenly being in a room with people, masks and precautions, it's like wah, 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 sort of thing. Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. We had three or 4 weeks of rehearsals with two or three rehearsals. About it kind of averaged out about 3 hours a day on Zoom with each other, script here. And so we had a chance to be in the script a lot. And then we were also trying to figure out what's going to work socially distanced. Can we do this scene? Are we going to have the audience to do this part? Because there are several different audience interactions, because it is a meta show. It is self-referential and Brechtian. And the entire time they aren't exactly creating there is no fourth wall. It's like you are all here. And that's a lot of the humor and connecting with that. And so now, not only in rehearsal did we not be able to connect with each other, but we're already like, oh, we have to take ourselves out to now think about what's not going to work in this time. But we're lucky to be doing this show at all, so let's figure it out. Let's make that happen. And then we get in this space and we go, okay, here we are. We have this much distance. No touching here. Flip that around. No, yes, you know, in the warehouse space. And I'm very much a physical. Connect my lines to my physical actions, to my choices there. If it's on a Zoom reading, it's different because I can usually read the script right under my camera and I know that who's watching me is connected. I'm able to connect to my script and read into the words. But when I know that we're going to be doing this physically, I have to also be connecting with them. Eye contact. That's what I memorize. And so it was difficult for me to memorize outside of that. Obviously, we rehearse and memorize outside of rehearsal time, but it's only so effective depending on your rehearsal style. And so then, yeah, getting into this space, we were like, we have 3 days before. Now we're worried about focus on making sure we're standing within cameras. And so we're actually utilizing film technique of make sure we're within these lines. We're not going to put lines on the floor, by the way, because people will see those. So we got to memorize, step in so that if they're using this camera, we are within the framing device, which is our audience. That is our proscenium. And it made it quite a treat when we actually had a show day of our weekend in October where we actually had an audience, or a show day that was in the moment enough that our tech, you, Beau, and Emmy, and Josh,
Justin.
No, what? Justin and Justin, were able to laugh and felt those moments, and it was really valuable because we had so much less to work with in a show like this, which is written expecting audience, the ebb and flow of that audience energy.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Oh, you muted.
I muted myself. My dogs were wanting to get in on the interview. They had questions.
The guy in the back started getting loud.
Raquel.
Yes.
Now that I have the power of speech again, how was it rehearsing online for you? What kind of an experience was that for you?
It was good. Just kidding. Everyone's answer was
Like,
so,
all right, that's good. I'm glad that worked out.
was not good. Just kidding. It was very difficult for me. I am a person that one of the reasons why I love theater is that human interaction. It's like something I crave, which is why this has been very this year. That back and forth, that big space, the like seeing people's like real faces crinkle, because like sometimes on the camera maybe it's frozen or you can't really see their face, which is why when I go see live theater I try to sit as close to the front as possible. Like I like to see the sweat, you know.
Yeah,
I'm that weirdo. So Zoom was very hard to memorize lines, again, without the physicality, because I'm also that person that is a kinesthetic learner, so I need to be able to do things, and that's how I get it. So it was very different and trying, but it's kind of like, well, this is what you got to do to do it. So you got to do it. And so, you know, we had to get it done. And then on top of that, I was doing another show at the same time. So my brain had gone a little while without having to memorizing 2 shows at once. They were completely different. And so my brain was just like, what are we doing? I thought we were quarantining. I thought we were on a break. So it took a bit of pushing to like get back in there. I did enjoy, strangely enough, once we got into the space, that fast paced movement of like getting things done. It reminded me of summer stock year. And for anyone who's never done that, it's like weeks of rehearsal, 1 week of rehearsal, show. Memorize, usually like a full day, full rush. There's a big rush comes with it. Where you're like, okay, here I like a chance to do actors what we do. A lot of people easy job, do it, or I did get the like I did a play when I was in 5th grade. I'm like, you're right, it's the same. But it really, we're gonna like test ourselves. We're gonna come together if we really can make it through this really weird time. And even though it was frustrating at times, difficult at times, it was like making me like pull out my hair at times. But all in all, I feel accomplished that we were able to do it and to like produce such a beautiful product. So, willfully, yes, do it again.
How was it adapting for the cameras? And this is really a question for all of you. And Ben pretty much started to talk about that, but I'll ask the question again. How was it adapting to not really having an audience? I mean, you have us there being the crew, laughing and watching it, but for the most part, you're not really getting a lot of energy back. How is it performing to the camera and having to self-generate that energy that would normally be a back and forth thing between you and the audience?
If I'll start, since I just kind of continue what I was saying on that. So, you know, through the unusual rehearsal style of the Zoom rehearsal, and then getting into, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. We got there and we knew it was going to be empty. We knew that the jokes were going to land differently. We were going to use the jokes to say, there's no one here. We started playing with the fact that it is an empty room. And then with the cameras, it's just another audience member. We're lucky if we happen to be looking in the camera when that angle is being taken. That's how I see it. Where I a couple times would play to a specific camera, not knowing whether or not that angle was going to get taken, because it wasn't up to me. As a performer, I'm just like, someone may be looking in this camera, someone may be looking here, or I look past them because those cameras were also knowing that there could be other audience members, and so I'm playing to the house. I'm playing to what the lines in the character is driven to do to communicate his energy to communicate our little bite-sized Shakespeare stories, and just kind of roll with it. Made it that's part of the show, the socially distanced aspect of the complete works of William Shakespeare, abridged is socially distanced.
Gustavo, Raquel, any further comment on that, or any feelings you might have?
Yeah, it was just like getting used to like getting in the parameters. Like Ben said, that was our proscenium, and I really like the way that you put that, because you couldn't step outside of these walls, or else the audience wouldn't be able to see you, the like virtual audience, you know. So there was like very, very dark tape put on the ground, which like you would like inspect before you go on, before like we get onto like live. So you can like all right, I have to stand within that. I have to like stand close to this little mark over here. And there's this one bit where I'm on a ladder doing the balcony scene, and they're like, "Guess you can't go any more above the third step because your head's gonna get chopped off." And I'm like, "Oof, I don't want my head chopped off, so I gotta just kind of do this." And I was like, the bit would have been funnier if it was on the top step. But it's like, oh, just make do with what you got, you know, sort of thing. And then which like wasn't that much more of a big deal, because it's still like the same bits, just like to the left or to the right, just a little bit lower, sort of thing, and like focusing on maybe 3 points, or like if you want to pretend there's that faux audience past the camera, sort of thing. There was that, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I did a lot of past the camera, especially with some of the like when you're narrating, because I like to, even though the room is mostly empty, I like to pretend like we're in our house and we do choreography and we talk to the walkways. So I figured it's like being at home. So saw my stuffed animals out there like when I was 5. So, you know, talking past the camera and specifically choosing, oh, I think I see them like using this camera for this part, so I'm going to deliver this, give that a look. And that can be fun, and kind of get out of your head about is this me, like, oh my god, is it funny? Like, it doesn't matter. Do your job. Gotta try to jokes land and pretend it's funny in your head. Do it right. It'll be funny. Take your ego out of it, because you know we like the validation of like, oh, that's hilarious. I mean, I know I do.
Yeah.
So you have to. I do. Yes, I did. Said I. But you should just be like, you know what? I'm going to work the hardest I can, the best I can, give my team to be funny, and it'll land because we're working together. And thus having like the different spikes. Oh, make sure you stand. So I'm a little blind, right? And we're not on stage or now. So have brown spikes on black stage. When I sing fars really hard, I'm like, is that it? But I'm like trying to be natural, so I'm like, da da da. Here's up. And there was a time, I don't know if it was you, Bo, but someone was like, move in, and I was like, I'm gonna casually move in, like this is meant to be. It happened.
Very live studio.
Very live. It's so the studio is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I created this studio first, and for the company is so amazing. It's absolutely cool. I can't wait to see what else comes out of it. But it is so crazy what you do when pressure is applied to you, and how you can change and adapt, and to still be like, I'm gonna ask what I love to do, or I'm gonna do this, and how we can come together and like make something out of nothing. It is, I just say, it's so amazing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely. I never thought we'd be going in this direction with Southwest Shakespeare, and I think it's similar with a lot of theaters who've chosen to go to digital streaming or film these short productions to broadcast. That we suddenly had to learn how to be film and TV and camera savvy in a very short amount of time, and it's been amazing how these production, I think, have grown over the summer, these virtual productions. And now that we have the studio that we converted from part of our warehouse, it's just the possibilities are very interesting. And you have really been the flagship to make all of that happen. Speaking of our audiences, this was supposed to be an educational tour. Like in a perfect world, non-COVID, you would be touring to different schools. So we've been broadcasting to schools during this run. How has the reaction been that you have dealt with? You've done a couple of talkbacks with the school children. How has that been like? Connecting with an audience that's not there, you can't see them, but they can see you. How is that? That's got to be strange.
Uh-huh.
A little.
Anyway.
Yeah. And we wouldn't even since like you said, we couldn't see them, but they could see us, sort of thing. At the end of the show, we'd like gather out, put some blocks out, space each other out on the stage, and either like Justin would read out the questions, maybe Emmy would read out something that they asked, and Clay would also have like stock questions, and he'd be like, "Hey, so like introduce yourselves and get them sort of thinking on asking questions and stuff." And so it was interesting. It was kind of in a way like, yes, this is the audience reaction. This is their response. This is them making contact, sort of thing. So in a way, it was rewarding. Like, yeah. So like, tell us about your experience. I'm like, well, this is the experience of like doing this sort of show for you guys. It was strange, but it was like, that was our like little like audience like virtual clapping and stuff. So it was kind of nice.
And Ben, would you
felt,
have that same feeling?
So, we've talked about the empty house and the four people in the house, or just the tech, or just the crew in the house, or the cameras and things. But at the end of the show, especially a show like this with that high energy, we just did Hamlet 3 times, 4 times. And then we get our water, and then we bring the blocks out and sit down. And if people are sending us questions and there's some live, it doesn't matter if there were 2 or if there were 50 or however many, it feels like and that felt real. That felt normal. Because the questions weren't all that different. They had some context-specific questions about how was the process and what was it like this. But then it was, how long did it take you to memorize these lines? How, what is it like playing 20 characters? Was
the kiss real?
It's a forced perspective. And so that we were on the high, and they were. It helped us, remind us that they were there, and that even though they weren't, they reinforced and affirmed us performing our full as if they were there, to remind us, yes, they were. We have that kind of closing moment. We got to get to the end of our show and our artistic expression right there, and then they were there to ask some questions, and like, oh, this is the talk back. We got 5 or 10 of these, and that was nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Raquel, are you still there?
Camera go. Oh God, where'd it go?
You're in the dark. You're in the dark. Okay, you're back. You're back.
Hey. Which is widescreen.
Widescreen. Yes. So wait, hold on.
Please pause for technical difficulties. Please.
I am
do not
so
see the actors. Do not approach.
So I will say this. I enjoy talkbacks because at least for this, it reminds me of the approach after a show. I thoroughly enjoy talking after I see a show or after I'm in a show. I enjoy talking to the people in the show. I was like the weirdo that will see shows on Broadway and find the stage door. What city I am in, I will find the stage door and I will wait for you. Okay. And my camera, like, oh my God, please sign this. So I love that engagement, and since we don't really have that because there's no audience there to come up and talk to us, we can get that through, the talk back with the kids and things like that. So I really enjoy it.
all of you are really, really wonderful performers. I mean, I've seen you do serious work and I've seen you do comic work. You're incredible performers and character actors. As we wrap up this interview and we think of the audiences that you're reaching out to with this educational program, what individually, now I'll ask you to answer this individually, what advice would you give a young performer who wants to look into Shakespeare, might be a little bit afraid of it? What advice would you give them about performing and taking on Shakespeare? And anyone who wants to jump in first can.
Sure. Yeah, about that. Don't be afraid of it. It's easy to say. Well, my first piece of advice is don't be afraid of it. Like, well, that's not how it works. You can't. You either are, or you're not, or you. But listen to it. Find ways to hear it. To hear people reading it out loud. It's not meant to be read, and that is what can. Some people love to read it. Some people can get engaged and they go, I've never read Shakespeare before and it sounds so interesting. And now I'm engaged and, oh, this play was much tougher than this play. And I've heard that even recently. And I go, and it's like, and yet that's great to have that. We need people who are reading the text and that's, and keeping it alive in that way, but it is meant to be performed and heard out loud, spoken and moved within and lived within. That's what Shakespeare intended for it, and that's how it's going to survive in its fullest form. And so you will also be able to engage with it the most in that way. You'll be able to pull the most from it. When you've heard it in that way, you'll know if it's for you. You'll know and see the richness of it, seeing it in many different ways live. And from there, just see what resonates with you. Let it, if you are interested in it, enjoy the language. Know that Shakespeare is not always heightened. I've learned that just recently that he is heightened. He's different and archaic and intelligent language-wise, but there are scenes where the characters are of all these different status and communicating in different ways, and when they're being heightened, it's with more poetry, more metaphor and simile, and those things that can make it more complex and more difficult to grasp. They're still communicating. They're still trying to earn something from someone, achieve something, just as we are, just as right now I'm trying to communicate with you, that they are real and that you can put yourself in there and be them if it's something that you enjoy and it's something you can want to grasp. Go for it. Let yourself try to read it different ways and see what works the best for you. And because they are just trying to say it like I'm trying to say it now, it is modern speech to them. Now, we have to learn how they spoke in that way with the poetry and the timing and the rhythms and the iambs, the splendor of the sonnet, yeah. So I've heard some of the best performers of Shakespeare I've heard is when they are just speaking it like they are, like I am now.
Just a simple conversation.
Yes, they're having a conversation. They're answering a question, delivering a need, and building a relationship. So once you've gotten through the thickness of oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven, and it's that stiffness that comes with practice, and that goes through. You then are, oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, your brightest heaven of invention. See what inspires you and resonates with you. So, anyway, I can go on and on rambling about fears and not being afraid of words.
It's okay. We're only getting. I'm just kidding. These are the jokes, people. I think I've killed Ben.
The rest is silence.
The rest is silence.
from me.
Sorry about that, Ben. I knew you could take it though. Gustavo, any feelings on this? Any words of insight?
Yeah,
Inspired.
it's
No pressure.
take it. Take it one show at a time, dudes. It is poetry. It can be complicated, but like, watch a show, enjoy it, have a good time with it. Then you can like pull up the text, and if you have the ones that have the notes with them that help you like decipher the code, do that. It makes it so much easier. Then you can like help get on the way of figuring out what the words are, and figure out the context of the time, relate it to yourself, and like then go to the next show, figure out what they're saying there, what's the show about and stuff. And soon enough, it starts to make sense just off the page by itself. It'll take time, but going into it, it's just really, really, really good stuff, and it's surprisingly timeless because like it is shows that take place back then, but the themes and everything, and everyone will always say the themes are like always showing up everywhere, even today. So you know, you don't have to like jump off the diving board into the pool. You can take like the stairs in and like paddle around until you're comfortable to start taking big strokes, you know?
I feel like going
So
for a
do
swim
it.
now.
Yeah.
Article.
The spear
Raquel.
pond.
Cheers. I forgot the question already because these two are long-winded. But
What advice would you
kidding.
give to young performers?
I love you both dearly. I see.
Oh, we're all getting. Oh, see, you
I
spin
can
it
be
right
like
back
you,
at me.
kind of.
Yeah.
So like Gustavo said, it is poetry. That was to say, I grew up reading poetry and writing poetry. So sometimes just delving into the world of poetry and classical and contemporary and slam poetry and performance poetry, all of it, understanding cadence and things like that, will help you to understand Shakespeare, because there's a reason why there was a long period of time everyone did Shakespeare like rapping. I think it was like the 2000s. I don't know. But there's a reason why people did that, because rap is poetry in motion. So if you can understand like why words go together and why certain things mean, flow the way they do, then it makes it easier to understand Shakespeare. So really delving into the musicality of different art forms is very helpful, as well as Shakespeare is difficult, but like feel the fear and just do it anyways. It's like the kind of like vibe I feel like we should always just give people, like just do it anyways. I find it, this is a little bit more specified, but as far as young like Black girls and boys and immigrants, because I identify that way, they don't see themselves much, and they're too afraid because sometimes you don't have the money to do all these things that like your friends can do or other people can do, and therefore you don't always see that image. You don't think you can do it because you don't see the image. Do it anyway. Be the image for someone else to see, because even though I grew up not seeing that, and a lot of times when I was in shows, like again, a lot of times I was the only one that looked like me, but I was like, that's okay, because when another young girl looks on stage and sees me, she'll have the, oh, okay, this is for me too. I can also do that. That's also a fear that I don't think people realize, is it's not just the words, or maybe I'm not good and can do Shakespeare. It's, oh, I don't think this is for me. These aren't for the people that look like me. And it's like, no, Shakespeare is for everyone. It's for you no matter how old you are, because there are people that are older that might want to do it and are afraid. It doesn't matter your age or race or gender or anything. Feel the fear, do it anyways, and be the person that other people can go, oh, so I can do this because this person did it. So you can be the inspiration.
And it really is. Tell me if this is the way you feel about it too. I know I've developed this philosophy of, and this has really come about just watching real recent productions. It really has no boundaries. You can cast it any way you want. Think about it this way. When was the last time you saw an age-accurate Romeo and Juliet? She's supposed to be 14. So that right there sort of, and I don't think I've ever seen it cast exactly in that realm, but I've seen many wonderful performers take on those roles. So there are no boundaries really as far as age or gender or ethnicity. It's really for everyone. And it's a wonderful experience because of that. And I hope that's how everybody else feels. I don't know about you guys at all, but just for my 2 cents in the pool here, I'll just toss that in and say it really is a wonderful playground for just about everybody to come around and play in.
It's a great place to feel at home, because other plays where they'll be very specific about what they want to see. With Shakespeare, I mean, if we're going to be specific, like they all should just be men then, right? Like if we're going to do it how it's always done.
And how boring is that?
I mean, super boring. That's why I'm here. But honestly, it is a come and feel at home. Funny because I do Shakespeare, even though I love poetry, I don't think I can like understand it as much as other people do, because some of you are amazing at like interpreting everything and take a little bit longer in that field. But I'm like, you know what? No one's ever made me feel like stupid for not understanding what I said. They're just like, actually, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes more sense. And then we just keep on moving. So it's a great place to just like dive in and have everyone around you be completely like, we're a family, because Shakespeare, you can be anything without you having to be like a certain mold. And so it creates a very beautiful unit. So I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to talk about the show. And we will be airing this. There is a scroll across the bottom of your screens. Please go to Showtix and buy tickets today to this wonderful, very, very fun comedy. And you will be laughing. You don't have to be an expert on Shakespeare to enjoy this. These 3 performers really transcend that. They make it accessible to anyone. And I think you don't even have to have seen or read a single word of Shakespeare to enjoy this lovely performance. So please go get tickets today. You will not regret it. It is a very fun show, and you will have a great time. And watch it with your immediate family or who you're quarantining with. You will have a great time, and have watch parties or something like that if that's available. I'm old and I'm technically challenged, so I could be like, yeah, have them live parties. What? No, what? But I digress. I ramble. I'm just I'm feeling silly. These are my close friends, so I feel comfortable to mess around. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out the show. Thank you for tuning in to Storytime Classics Live and our wonderful guests, Gustavo Flores and Ben Harris and Raquel McKenzie, starring in the complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged. Please check it out. It will be streaming this starting, I believe, tomorrow and through this weekend. Yeah. Check your local listings for times, or go to showtix.com, and I think it'll be all there. So thank you very much for tuning in today. Thank you for joining us, the cast of Complete Works, and tune in tomorrow for more of the Storytime Classics Live, produced by Southwest Shakespeare Company. Thank you. Please remember, please wear a mask, and please stay safe out there. Again, thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you next time on Storytime Classics Live.